A creative breakthrough? A sudden romance? Or a shock to your self-expression, my Aquarius friends? It's going to demand that you start unapologetically living from your heart center this week. What happens this week is utterly fated. Let's find out more by looking at your horoscope today. Friends, this video is a forecast for your sun, your moon, or your rising sign. You can check out all three videos, and they're going to tell you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. I'm Kesenya, and welcome to the Astro News and Weather Report for the third week of June 2026. Don't forget, everyone, this is tropical Vedic astrology, not sidereal astrology. Do look it up if you need to. And yes, I am a real person, not AI. So on the 20th of June, this is the key feature we're looking at in the week ahead, and it's a doozy. Uranus will exactly square the nodes at 3 degrees and 9 minutes. They've been tangling very close to one another in the preceding days up until this point, but they become exact on the 20th. So we are absolutely under this energy at this time. So pow, this energy is bold, big, and exceptional, and it only occurs roughly every 8 years. It's not common, it's not ordinary. So did you experience an important life shift back in 2018? It's likely to have been the result of this big, powerful event in the sky, Uranus squaring the nodes. And those themes that happened back then may be getting to make a repeat in your life in some way, shape, or form now. And it's all fated. Anything to do with the nodes becomes very fated indeed. So are you ready for a surprising and life-changing shift? Because here it comes. So nobody said this energy was easy. It is a square aspect to the south node and the north node, as you'll see in the little piece of chart footage that I've got here on the screen with me. Nobody said this was easy. The aspects are harsh, but it will get you unstuck. It may create some chaos, but possibly in the end, it's going to take you more to your destiny and put you in a more self-sufficient position in life. That's what Uranus wants to achieve, after all. So you will want to embrace your own truth. You won't stand for pretense or fakeness or falseness anymore, either yours or other people's. And you may even up and abandon everything that you thought you knew or thought that you wanted from life. This is an energy of sudden impacts, shocks, and life-changing redirectioning. Get ready for it all, my friends, and that's what this video is actually designed to do for you. Now, it may have global effects. We are, I believe, already seeing some of those effects at play in the geopolitical area. But on a collective level, this transit stirs restlessness within the masses and restlessness with the status quo. The way life is not satisfying anymore. We've had about a gutful of certain elements of the way life is unfolding. There's going to be a lot of differences of opinion around this time, particularly when it comes to Uranian things like technology, community dynamics, friendships, individuality, and our general direction as a society. These things could become especially divisive now. They could be potentially damaging. They might sever alliances and relationships of all kinds. We can also expect, in a global level, changes on societal and technological levels that will really alter the collective path of humanity. Going against the grain and societal disapproval, these are key themes. We're already seeing it. If you get your news from social media sources, it's out there. Mainstream media won't touch on any of this, but it's absolutely happening. Like, just take a look at what's going on in Ireland right now, if you want an example of this. You know, it is about going against the mainstream narrative and the mainstream norm. That's very Uranian, and it's fractious as it does so with a square to the nodes. But this is part of our collective, I'll get my words right, destiny. Cooperation doesn't come easily at times like this. And yet what we're seeing, for example, in Ireland does sort of herald the potential for a collective movement, for a revolution. And there are other themes at play at the moment besides just this Uranus square to the nodes. We have a trine to Pluto. We have a sextile from Uranus to Neptune as well. That is really holding space and helping this theme to perhaps have more positive momentum than it might otherwise do at other times. This was certainly not the case in 2018 when this dynamic last formed. But what about how it's going to affect you personally? In evolutionary astrology, Uranus represents our need to free ourselves from the conditioning that's been forced upon us by our culture, whatever culture that may happen to be for you. Culture's rules, culture's expectations. You might not even be aware that you have been conditioned, but believe me, everybody has to some extent, some people more than others. But those of us who hunger for awakening, who hunger for greater awareness, and who want to be deconditioned out of societal constructs are going to find that this transit is an absolute blessing despite the upheavals that it might bring. Those who still love mainstream media, those who believe that the government acts in their best interests, those who don't want to acknowledge the true root of darkness in society will find that this transit is tremendously challenging because Uranus is going to shake us all off the fence quite forcefully in some way. So it's a time that we're going to need to increase our awareness in order to choose wisely. The choices that the universe is requiring us to make may not be obvious at this time either, and it might be a case of having to take the path less trodden to get to a much better outcome. This transit can bring the biggest of life disruptions. Think sudden endings, sudden beginnings, changes in life direction, new ideas and breakthroughs that you would never have anticipated popping into your life in amazing ways. So here are a couple of questions that you might like to ponder on or journal about in the lead up to this energy becoming exact. Firstly, where were you 8 years ago, around November 2018? And what feels similar to you now about the circumstances you're in? Secondly, question yourself, are you clinging to the past, to old ways of doing things, to old beliefs, out of a state of fear of the new, or are you bold enough to step into something that is completely unknown now? In what ways do you deny the truths that keep knocking at your door? Now, this might be the beliefs that you have despite all the evidence you're seeing to the contrary, or the relationships that you keep rehashing over and over and over when you know you should just let them go, or the choices you make that speak to compliance with society instead of the liberation that Uranus actually may want for you. If the universe was to radically shift something in your life right now, what would you want it to be? I'd suggest putting that out there to the universe and asking for the shift and the dynamic and the change to occur in that field of life, because the universe is ready to rock the boat and may just do it in your favor now. So now we're going to go through the influences for each sign. And remember, my friends, to check out your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign, because all will be relevant to some degree or another in your life. Aquarius friends, your modern ruler Uranus is squaring the nodes in your 5th house this week. And this is the house that's going to give you a creative awakening. Out of nowhere, creativity hits. Now, this could look like a project taking off, or a romance showing up, or like a spark reignites in your life. Maybe years ago you thought about writing some fantastic novel and you shelved that idea for a while. Well, boom, it's going to all come back in a flood now. And suddenly, you're going to remember what it feels like to be genuinely excited about your life and what you're living. Whatever has been keeping you playing it safe, it's going to get dismantled. That's what Uranus squaring the south node of the past and the north node of the future is all about. Wowee, this is exciting. You know, society has this annoying habit of turning everything fun into something productive. We all hate that. You know, oh, your art should make you money, or your hobby should become a side hustle. You know, your love life should hit certain milestones by certain ages. BS. This transit says no way, Jose, to that. You are allowed to create just because it feels good. You're allowed to love outside the traditional script. You're allowed to just enjoy yourself without the need to make sense to anybody else. And that's what this week's energy is trying to inspire in you, to teach you, to push you towards. Stop the video if you want and just have a really deep ponder about what that looks like in your life. You know, what does it look like if you're just allowed to play how you want to play with life and be who you want to be with life and just enjoy life without demand, without expectation? It's so important, particularly for you, my beautiful Aquarius friends, because in modern rulerships, Uranus is all about you. Now, my friends, there could be a big dramatic plot twist that occurs in your life this week. For some, it could look like a surprise pregnancy. For some, it could look like a sudden gamble or a risk that pays off. But I have to forewarn you, forearm you, this is a square aspect to the nodes, and so it could look like a gamble or a risk that spectacularly doesn't pay off. It could go one way or another. Remember, Uranus is a roller coaster ride. Sometimes it's right on top of the tree and sometimes it's right down at the bottom. So, forewarned, forearmed in that regard. But it also could look like a major shake-up to your career path. This is the 8th house from the 10th. So it's going to be very karmic, career-wise, what happens this week as well for you. But whatever it is, my Aquarius friends, it's going to wake up something in your heart. You're going to start to reconnect with what actually makes your life worth living. So as you can see, Aquarius, this is a big week of karma for everyone. And if you want to understand more about your soul's journey, why not join me for the Karmic Astrology Masterclass? You'll get a free astrological goddess report based on your personal birth chart. And look, I just got to tell you, the feedback that I've had for this course has blown me away. I know this wisdom is going to transform your life too. So you can join the class through the link in the description below. I'd love to see you there.